All right. Hey, all. Test, test. Okay, looks good. Okay, so I last weekend played two diplomacy games virtually, and had a solid time doing them. And like my recent foray to the World Diplomacy Championships, I found doing a game retrospective somewhat useful for just talking through and trying to learn a bit about a little more about what my opponents were doing during the games, what I maybe did wrong, etc. Um, if people find it interesting, cool. If not, these videos exist, and I guess they're out there in the ether. Um, Yeah, so virtual diplomacy, I joined two games in what's called the Virtual Diplomacy League. They play monthly game days. They have three different games you can join at different times. The games take like 6 to 7 hours if you play the whole length. So when I say I played diplomacy on Saturday, I mean I joined two games, and yeah, that was like the whole day basically. So yeah, that was kind of intense. Frankly, yeah, the playing that long is a little. I tend to be used to playing like 4 to 5 hour diplomacy games where you end in 1907. These games tended to go through 1910 if you played all the way to completion. So yeah, it's just a little bit different. I also struggled a little bit with a lot of diplomacy tournaments I play at are a bit friendlier to new players, and so you get 15 minutes of negotiation, and then you often get like 2 minutes to write your orders. Virtual Diplomacy League, you get 15 minutes for negotiation, and then your orders are supposed to be due. I was not good about this. I got better. I think I'm somewhat adapted now, but it was definitely a little bit of a tricky transition to get used to. Needing to have orders in. It's also tricky in that like that really means that the last 2 minutes of your negotiation period, you're not really like updating your orders usually because like you don't really have enough time usually to get on board with like making a quick change. Doing it virtually was smooth enough. Everybody has rooms. People are good enough about it. It's a little tricky to like keep the time working. Again, I kind of like jumping back and forth too, of like talking to somebody, getting some ideas, going to the other person, talking some ideas, and then like reconvening with the other person to like update with like what I've heard. That's a little bit hard to do online too. And so yeah, like I don't know. It was intriguing. I'll probably do it again. I liked it well enough, but I do think I prefer face to face play still. But yeah, it's hard to face play. Um, so anyhow, yeah, I played two games. It was fun enough. First game, I pulled Germany, and I have that game up. In this game, I had met some of the players at WDC. The Austrian player I was familiar with, the France player I was familiar with. I had played with them on different boards. But anyhow, yeah, things were well enough here early on. The Austrian player kind of was like the center of gravity. Their name's McCallus. They're very good. And a lot of people were kind of immediately wary about what they were doing and trying to pay attention and read the board. So that was a bit weird to me. Um, not actually that weird. I sort of understand paying attention to the strong player, but one of my central tensions with France this game is the French player was very concerned about what the East was doing. And I was a bit annoyed because I wanted to do things in the West and I struggled to get stuff done. But early on, the game started well enough. The annoying thing is France demanded a bounce in Burgundy. I tried to talk them out of it. I asked them not to. I did not really like this. I found it a bit aggressive. I found them forcing it to be a bit demanding. Uh, and I really was trying to talk with England about like, hey, this French player is a little bit inflexible, a little demanding. Like, is this who you really want to work with? Type thing. But to start with, things are pretty normal. Going into the fall here, I did note that they had open north, which likely was going to force. This was likely going to force the French player to go for Norway. meaning that Belgium was almost certainly just going to fall to France, and France was going to get a nice early three center build. So none of that was thrilling to me because that's yeah that was that. Otherwise, I don't know. The rest of things were mostly standardish or standardish enough. So yeah, in the fall, I let Sweden in. Russia was being friendly enough, and I was struggling to get England or France to commit to anything. This is a going to be a common complaint for the next several seasons, is that I could not get England or France to agree to anything I wanted to do. They wanted to do a Western triple. France, in particular, is very concerned about what he sees as a budding alliance over here and what he sees as a somewhat dubious Italian player. And France wants to focus on the south, therefore, and not deal with things in the north. To me, this seems like a prime opportunity for England, Germany to just get France out of the game. If France wants to go mess around in the south, but it's also a fine enough Western triple. I just don't like Western triples as Germany. I feel I'm usually the one going to get screwed in the triple. Also, very annoyingly, even though France kept demanding a triple, France was not open to me getting Belgium over the next couple seasons. So I was essentially being told to sit there and just be happy with my five centers and watch England and France do things, which I was not content to do. But I tried to keep convincing France or England to attack each other. And short story, I failed to do these things. I don't totally understand why. I think both of them had great opportunities to do it, but they were pretty locked in together. And in their defense, they wind up with decent games for it. So, Germany or Russia seems to be my only real ally in the north. Austria, of course, doesn't really want me to falter early. In Austria's defense, I think he actually did want to see me do somewhat well because I think it would have set him up for a bigger, more interesting game. Whereas this game, where it heads, gets a little bit messy. But anyhow, I build a fleet because, well, I think Germany just needs a second fleet to do some things in the north. Russia builds another fleet. I think this is ultimately good for me. Like, they're building very north. They're ready to go north. I think them going north is good. But this spring 1902 is where things unravel slightly. Russia asks if I'm willing to go Denmark to Skagerrak to block what North Sea might come in. I was wary about this. I wasn't sure that I wanted to do that with my fleet movement. I preferred to just get into Helgoland Bight. Given that both France and England continued to refuse to attack each other, I was worried it meant they were going to attack me. Russia was, of course, worried England was going to attack him, and so we didn't quite get on the same page. With that said, Russia kept asking me what I wanted to do, what moves I wanted. Then he suggested moves that he kind of wanted to see. It was not clear to me that was like a precondition he needed me to make the moves he wanted to see, or he would stop working with me. I sort of get that, right? Like, you want to see your neighbors make moves, but anyhow, I would have appreciated him being, I guess, more forceful with what he wanted to see. Andor, I wish I had worked with him here because, yeah, to speed things along, things start to unravel pretty quickly from here. England and France continue to just refuse any plans to attack each other. I try repeatedly, and they just keep telling me to triple up. In their defense, they don't kill me for quite some time. I survive for a while here because they think I'm necessary in order to hold the line against. They're worried that this is some fast-moving Russia, Austria, Turkey alliance that's going to kill Italy and apparently kill us. But spoiler alert, very little of that happens, and yeah, I don't know. As we'll see, I wish the West had had more action than it does, but. Anyhow, in the spring, I also wind up with slight timer pressure, and all I wind up doing is supporting myself into the Bight, concerned England's attacking me. And it does turn out England is going after Russia. Indeed, goes Skagerrak north, tries to go Barents. So Russia doesn't really get the progress they want. I don't get the progress I want. I do try to go Tyrolia here because I am worried that Venice is going to fall fast and that this Austria is going a little bit speedier than it needs to be. Now, turns out I don't actually do anything here because I don't tell Italy to support me. Turns out I probably should have got Italy to support me, right? Just slowing down Austria just a little bit is probably good for the whole game board here. Um, and this is where I think some level the stronger players and stuff realize stuff like this faster, and I should have been on that faster. But like France too, again, was so just repeatedly kept claiming they were very worried about what was happening down here. I was I did note that they moved to mid-Atlantic Ocean though instead of going Spain south coast, which like if you're trying to move up and prop Italy, like you're losing tempo here by going mid-Atlantic. So I was like somewhat hopeful. I'm like, "Ooh, maybe this means they're on board with an attack. We have an opportunity." I pitch hard to France. France has banked a build here. France can go Irish Sea. England is not getting a build here. England's not getting a build. Sweden can hold on. I can help hold Sweden. England gets no build. France is just in Irish, can build Fleet Brest, like easy kill England. Like I'm already in the bite in Denmark. Like everything's lovely here. Like let's kill England together. You can still like do a thing with your fleet or extra armies in the south. Your France with 6 centers. You have plenty of choices here. And you moved MAO instead of Spain South Coast. But anyhow, everything falls apart. Russia decides to freaking take Baltic Sea. I, without getting anybody to agree to anything, I wind up holding everything. This was a bit of time pressure, but holding everything is also pretty much always a bad sign. I'm not particularly happy about the fact that I held everything. Um, but alas. In France's defense, too, and while I'm yelling at their move about going Spain South Coast, this MAO move does allow you to get here faster. So there's not that much benefit to them having done other stuff. I guess it's just as fast. But yeah, obviously, once again, I couldn't convince them to actually go for the attack, even though the attack was good. England does misorder here. Russia has an opportunity to Russia had an opportunity to take Sweden here if they went for it, but they repositioned because they weren't sure I was reliable. And then, yeah, the rest of the stuff is happening. Like, this Turkish player's into Ionian. Italy's losing this unit because their positioning's all out of whack and their defense was wrong. So the weaker Italian players coming to B, and yeah, things are just kind of messy. Basically, very little happened this season except Austria, Turkey made progress. The rest of us basically did nothing. I guess France has made position with their fleets, but in the winter, France builds another southern fleet. This is pretty committal, in my opinion. They have no northern fleets, and once again, I'm pressuring England now. I'm like, okay, like England, let's drop a fleet or two. Like nobody can block channel. Like we can just swing on in. There's not that many armies. I'm right there. Like we can go kill France, but England is worried about Russia in the north coming, I guess, through. Like they're not on board with this plan. I'm trying to convince Russia to go back into position to work with me, but it's a little bit hard to sell now. But I now have to worry about Berlin and things. But yeah, Austria and Turkey now decide to kill Russia because Russia's kind of out of position and Russia's not doing what they wanted in the north, which was working with me to pressure England. So everything goes to heck. You can see England is now attacking me this phase. Luckily, Russia's not really, but Russia's attacking England. France is still just holding here and doing very southern things, which I leave them alone because I can't get anybody to join me on the attack. But yeah, basically, we'll speed along. I don't know that there was a lot else for me to learn this game in terms of what I was doing. I do get Russia's help here to get back into Denmark. So, like, there's some work between Russia and I, but Russia, I don't even pay attention to this. Russia blocks Galicia rather than protects against Sev. That's crazy. I don't. This was an agreed. Oh, this was. He thought they were just destroying the fleet and being nice, and here's the actual stab. Yeah, there was probably an agreement to blow up his fleet, but I don't know. Things are gross because now he realizes the stab's on. He has to disband. He's not going to continue to fight the north. He's going to go to the south. So the north breaking apart means that I don't have friends anymore. Technically, Technically, England and France don't instantly stab me. I do rewind building an army because I can't rebuild a fleet, and the thing got piffed. But having no fleets means I can no longer attack England. England has no desire to attack France, so I'm pretty one-dimensional. I'm stuck defending myself. France is already coming in now. England is coming in. I'm surrounded, a bit surrounded, but not horribly so. But yeah, I just don't have good friends. Russia has no real force anymore. They're getting rolled. England and France again just refuse to attack each other, so I'm pretty doomed there. For all of France's insistence that he go south and do things in the south, all he really has for it is Tunis. Like, very little else is happening. I mean, he's mildly annoying the others, but like Austria already has these centers. Um, they're gonna get Naples, so like this is part of why I don't think this is the best strategy of like worrying about what other people are doing rather than just getting centers yourself. But alas, one fun move here is everybody decides to support me into Warsaw. Russia decides they would rather have me in Warsaw. Austria, Turkey, knowing that that's true, decide they would rather have me in Warsaw than watch me support Russia into Warsaw. So that was kind of fun of everybody's going to give me this center. Um, I am able to force an attack through back on Holland, but I wind up, of course, losing Denmark here. Um, there's not a lot else to be said for a lot of this. Russia is losing everything, and I'm quickly eliminated here finally. I do my best defense here in the spring, but I just don't have room to operate. Austria comes up my backside because, of course, they do. And I go from 5 centers to 0 in one season, so that's always fun. And so yeah, I was eliminated here. I probably could have survived one more year by actually defending against Berlin in the spring, but I just don't care. I don't care about surviving on one or not. Um, this Turkey Austria thing is running quite well. This France England thing ultimately is working well, but basically Austria Turkey are moving faster. Like they're already in Munich, they're almost up to the line. They have fleets down here. And France is like trying their best, but like Austria Turkey are already here. So this is the slight problem I would argue if like France and England are just a little behind the other side of the board, and I would say that's because they didn't really commit to what they were doing forever. They were so worried about other stuff. Admittedly, I never joined them, but to be fair, they like this is just kind of classic France England decided to ally, and I think I missed my opportunity by not working more with Russia. But even then, I don't know how much of an opportunity I have against like a dedicated France England where the Italian player also isn't offering much. But maybe there's stuff. There's probably ways I could have played this differently. But it was a rough game. France and England, I just could not convince to take attacks, and I get eliminated. These guys play on another season, or maybe just one more season. I think it's just one more season, and then I think they agree to a draw here because things are pretty much locked up. The alliances are, yeah, this is where they agree to a draw at this point because the alliances are locked up. Austria Turkey are on 9 centers. England France are at 8. Admittedly, the scoring system does kind of like that result. The scoring system doesn't care a ton about the fact that you're like third and fourth place. I'm used to more rank based systems, so to me, this is kind of a bad result. Like, you guys both got 8 centers and watched other people get to 9. Like, that's okay. I'm not saying it's bad, but I I would have not be particularly satisfied as France or England. I think they left a lot of opportunities on the table also. I do think Austria Turkey played very nicely. Austria in particular. The Austrian players very good. I learned some things from watching them play this and how they operated with everybody. So it was a good learning lesson. It was a good time. I had enough fun, but yeah, a bit of a frustrating game and just like could not find people that actually wanted to work with me. Both England and France technically kept saying they wanted to work with me, but they really only wanted to work with me if I agreed to do what they wanted to do, which was a Western triple, which I think is bad for Germany. I think the game largely shows neither of them really ever offered me much. They both kind of told me to sit there and just watch them do things. Like England wanted support up in the north against Russia, but really wasn't offering me anything. France never offered me Belgium or any actual path to a center. Basically, just told me to sit there at the line and hold back the others. Like, that's not a real pitch. It's not a real game plan. Like, at least for me, it's not. I admit these untimed games do give you more time to like sit around and wait for opportunities, but I'm not particularly used to that. I guess I want to find friends that want to work with me to go pick up centers together. Um, and so yeah, I struggled to find that this game. In particular, France and England didn't want to attack each other, and so yeah, my only real choice was to work better with Russia, and Russia and I just didn't quite get on the same page. Um, I really am sad about that spring 1902 negotiation. It was not obvious to me that Russia was like that adamant that I follow the move set they wanted because they kept asking me like what moves I was thinking of doing. Like, if you really wanted something to happen, I think they needed to communicate that a little bit differently. It does turn out they were correct. It turns out I should have followed their moves, but I mean that's part of diplomacy too. Of like, given how France and England were constantly treating and talking to me, like I don't think it was crazy for me to worry that France was gonna just start attacking me in spring of '02, along with England's help. And so like, if they do that, a different moveset would have my moveset maybe would have been okay, but um yeah, I think the 1902 moves, though, but for me, really were wrong. I think Russia and I did not quite get on the same page together, and I think that kind of led to cascading problems. But alas. All right, that was game one. Let's go pull up game two. So the second game went a bit better, at least. Second game, I pull Russia, which happy enough about. I mean, really, I'm happy with most things. Here, there's a player who's been pretty successful playing Italy, but many other good players at this table, too. I get along quite well. There's a newer England and newer France player, but not, like, horribly new or anything. Actually, I think one of them was pretty new, but whatever. The Austrian player, I struggled a little bit with working closely with them. Actually, that's not entirely true. I worked okay with them. The difficulty I had with the Austrian player is that they were a little wishy-washy on what direction we were going, and I kind of was deferring to them about what they wanted to do, and maybe that was a mistake of mine. But anyhow, the good news here is, for once, everybody wanted to be my friend early, which is a nice thing to have. The downside is you do have to pick, and you can pick wrong, but it wasn't immediately obvious everybody was my friend, so I do kind of just do a classic Southern opening. Turkey wanted to do this kind of fist bumpy thing and can get the fleet out. I was happy with all of that. Italy was pitching a Russia, Austria, Italy alliance and kill Turkey fast. I was pretty amenable to that. There was also a pitch of Russia, Austria, Turkey and kill Italy fast. That was somewhat amenable to me. Germany was a bit cagey. It wasn't obvious they wanted to work with me that smoothly, but they did say they would let me have Sweden, but it wasn't obvious how much they wanted me in the north. However, as we see in the fall, France and Germany are like going for instant aggression against England, but Germany gets kind of this little poke from Munich. So even though Germany told me they didn't really want to see me build a northern fleet, given what's happening here, I'm guessing that Germany's going to feel the need to build an army to help protect their home. But they just attacked England, so I don't know. I decided to build a northern fleet. I'm like, it looks like we're attacking people in the north. Looks like I should be up there. Looks like also technically both of the alliances I'm being offered want me to build fleets in the north. So like to make my allies happy, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go kind of north here. This was the phase where like Turkey and Italy are both like pretty cleanly like doing the things that have been asked of them. Like things are set up. So this is where, yeah, like Austria and myself basically had a decision in both spring and fall of '02 of like who we were working with. And Austria kind of told me that he would prefer to work with Turkey, even though he thought the position was a bit better to work with Italy. And I kind of agree. Like the position to work with Italy looks a bit better, right? Italy already snagged Munich. France is building up here and they're going after England. Like there's this huge underside. Like if we let Italy just run at France, things might actually go pretty well. Turkey's quite bottled up, has only two armies. The fleets are in the south. Like I can just walk into the Black Sea if I want. Like Turkey's very much trusted me to not go after them. Um, and so this is where Austria, kind of in the last several minutes of spring 1902, tells me that he wants us to work with Turkey. I feel like Austria is kind of necessary for me here on some level to work with, but I do wonder what happens if I just go for the Turkey stab and tell him that's what we're doing and like you should follow with me. But like making enemies of Turkey and Austria is a little bit concerning, but maybe Russia Italy works here. I don't know. Anyhow, I turned a little sad about that. Um, with Germany, I try to talk with Germany too of like, hey, I'm building a fleet. I'm trying to help you out in the north. You guys are clearly going anti-English. Like, I can kick England out of Norway and kind of help keep your fleets wherever they need to be up in the north. But Germany's not super happy about me. Seems wary about my help in the north. I can't totally blame him for being wary about me being up in the north, but um, I'm a little bit sad because I thought we could relatively smoothly work together to get places. France is in an excellent position to put tons of pressure on England here. I'm like, they can kill England fast. I help out a little, whatever. As for this Russia, Austria, Turkey thing, to fight against Italy, it's going to be a little bit slow, but I mean, things are fine. Italy's going to get kicked out of Munich. Um, yeah. But yeah, in the fall, I just rotate some more units north, so I have more stuff to pressure Norway with because Germany doesn't agree. I do wind up poking Denmark because Germany's just not agreeing to anything. I mean, it turns out we bounce. It turns out that remarkably, France turns around and this suddenly becomes a triple. Now, again, I sort of get this. Like, they can see the kind of Tripoli signs showing off over here of like Austria and me aren't fighting. I'm not fighting Turkey. If neither of my neighbors are fighting me, that means I'm going to kind of have an outsized influence on the north. And so maybe they need to triple up against our triple. But like, when you're in this position already, like, just just do it. Just take the centers. Just tell people to take the centers, knock England out, and then you'll still be able to fight. Like we're not. I don't know. Maybe we would have been able to roll the board if they don't keep England on side. But I think if you're that far in position to just take the centers, like just take the centers and build units yourself. But um, Italy does do some fun business here. It looks like, right? Spain was trying to south bounce and then got pulled in. This is a classic issue of trying to do the south bounces when enemy armies can offer support. So lesson there to everybody of trying to somewhat dangers of trying to outsmart yourself. But my alliance being this Turkish Austria stuff, they at least forced their way in there. They forced their way into Tyrolia. I mean, things are relatively fine here. Um, but yeah, the north is now allied against me, which is kind of concerning. We do have a bunch of armies right up on the line. Italy's right in here to defend. Spring of '03, they come take Tunis, which makes enough sense. I do wonder if they were supposed to just get into the Tyrrhenian Sea. They probably were supposed to just get into the Tyrrhenian Sea, to be honest. It's kind of a slight guessing game going on, but anyhow, to speed this game along as well, I work very closely with Turkey all game. Austria, I'm working closely enough with, but unfortunately, this combined effort of the triple suddenly sends enough units that are kind of problematic. Italy's playing good defense. We're just getting very little progress, and we're getting pretty stymied. Like, Turkey at least picks up Tunis, and these guys are trying to, like, outguess the opponents on where to get positions, but it's not going great. They got knocked out of Tyrolia last phase due to this stuff. Germany pops Bohemia after this nonsense. Um, and so, like, just all the forward units that we had are not working. Up north, I got Norway, but it's a mess. This phase, I pitched to England about attacking Germany, and I can help support them do some of this, but of course, England doesn't accept this deal. It was a bummer. They continue to triple rather than attack each other. I do think, like, I think triples inevitably somebody's going to turn on each other. This is the other slight reason that I'm annoyed that they tripled against us. Like, I think people I think people act like alliances in diplomacy are so much more locked in than they usually are, especially at these higher level tables. But like, just because people are in a triple currently doesn't mean the triple's going to last all game. I think it's far more likely somebody's going to get turned on at some point. So I don't know. People getting turned on is absolutely what's going to happen soon. Um, Specifically, around here, Turkey does get another fleet build, but of course the fleets are like pretty far back. So like, there's kind of this huge lack of fleet pressure on Ionian. This is where I wonder as a group if we had opportunities to figure out something. I don't know if my fleet was supposed to find time to sail around or through, but tactically, I don't think we played this quite right because, like, we have Tunis, yes, but nothing is cracking the Italian home centers like we really need to. France is getting fast enough to backstop Italy, and it's just a total mess. The game is a mess. I'm getting totally kicked back in the north. I'm going to lose St. Pete soon enough. So all my northern pressure didn't really work. We're not making enough progress here. We're not going to crack Germany. This triple's holding us back. So everything's kind of turned sad for Russia after everybody wanted to be my friend early. Um, but fall of 1904 here is where a slight shift happens. This, unfortunately, after all this nonsense, the freaking Turkish forward fleet even gets blown up. So that's no good. Um, yeah, basically, we realize at this point, like, we're not really going to crack Italy anytime soon, and Turkey and I are basically totally stalled out on progress. So Turkey and I decide this is time to, do we really need Austria? What's Austria doing for us? And the answer is Austria is now where our centers come from. I stab Vienna, Turkey stabs Greece. Austria is going to be down to a couple units. I'm going to get to rebuild an army, I think. Maybe not even yet, but... Um, oh no, I do get to rebuild army. Yeah, I do get to rebuild army. These German armies aren't quite far enough forward at the moment, so like, yeah, the Italian or the Austrian stuff doesn't seem. Also, the Austrian player is not totally vindictive, decides he wants to keep this very fun fleet, which I agree with him. Keeping the fun fleet's way more fun, but keeping the armies would have made it a little harder for us to just continue eating him. But anyhow, I'm going to kind of speed along because the rest of the game doesn't actually see very much change. It basically, Russia and Turkey, we continue working together closely. France, Germany, England continue to work together for a while. Admittedly, this eventually breaks. I don't remember exactly when it breaks, but as always with most triples, like you have to pay attention to the fact that like a lot of times the triple is going to break, and who is going to benefit and who's going to suffer, and what position do you want to be in? Like, who's your friends going to be when time comes? France is very far forward, trying to gain a bunch of centers here in Italy and slow us down. France is doing a hell of a job slowing us down. But what do you think that means for your two allies up here? Like, you're not apparently not willing to give up Belgium. Like, this is another France that's not willing to give up Belgium, but is trying to get all these gains while their allies are told to just kind of sit there and pound sand. Who was I in this game? I was Russia. But anyhow, basically, yeah, to speed things along, like, in my opinion, when you're telling your allies to, like, sit there and just hold the line against the enemy while I go and get to pick up the centers, what do you think your allies are going to think about that? What do you think they're going to do? Well, the answer is eventually they're going to move on you. And here it is. England comes into Belgium. Here comes Germany heading on down. Here comes all the German fleets heading back over. Surprise, France! You're on the chopping block. Oh, hilarious convoy, by the way. Sorry, that was Austria convoying a English army into a French center. Good times, good times. Anyhow, yeah, France with all of their forward units here, their units that are just kind of terribly like France has all these kind of spread out units, not enough units for defense, and they start getting wrecked. And yeah, it's fair enough, but basically my summary of this game is that I at least found an ally. I don't totally regret a lot of my decisions, but as usual, I kind of regret what the rest of the board decided to do. In particular, I regret what France is doing. France is doing so much help to prop up Italy and hopefully get Italian centers and like slow up down what my alliance was trying to do. And for what benefit? France is going to just completely die to his allies because he overextended himself doing this nonsense. So it's kind of frustrating when a player kind of like overextends themselves trying to help somebody else only to die and give up all their dots to their neighbors. And then I've been stymied from all my growth by a player that's now just getting destroyed. Uh, France spurned my offers of attacking Germany at various points this game. Again, I understand it. Like they were a slightly newer player. They were having a good game. They had enough dots. They thought they had friends. Like they didn't want to rock the boat. They didn't want to turn things off. But it's like, hey France, what if you had helped us like equitably split up Italy too? But like it was hard to like work with France during this time of like, hey, what if we you carve stuff up. Admittedly, Austria has very little left here too. So Turkey helps blow up my fleet here, which was part of the plan. We wanted to get that fleet destroyed so I could rebuild armies. I get my armies built. England and Germany have temporarily let me go attack St. Pete here, by the way, because they don't have enough units, but they do unfortunately see it, which, I mean, they're good enough players to see it. They send enough units back, they're going to just retake it. Um, I do wonder if that means I was supposed to send Warsaw into Livonia, because then I could have held on to it for a while here, actually. Um, that maybe is a small mistake I made, but one of the annoying things again here is France has kept 3 units over here. They did not disband units over here. They disbanded units over in their home centers. So frickin' me on 6 centers, the guy that's kind of struggling the most out of all the remaining powers, has to deal with France frickin' attacking me, even though I don't know what the hell I've done to deserve it. So France, England, Germany ends like France, England, Germany does. I mean, to be fair, France, England, Germany usually ends with Germany getting eaten. But I mean, France getting eaten's not that shocking either. So yeah, again, it's like these are predictable endings. Like triples are not usually going to stay forever. Again, just like to be fair, Russia, Austria, Turkey. What do you think's happening there? Austria is probably the one that gets eaten at a certain point in that alliance, and I mean that's definitely what happened here. Um, but that's how it goes. Anyhow, yeah, to speed along through the end game, I'm a bit annoyed. France is like basically killing all of my hope of like actual progress here by having all these units that are God knows where. Italy still has units because France has backed them up so much and then is just throwing all their centers to England and Germany basically. So I mean, fair enough, but it's kind of annoying. Turkey winds up making a last minute deal here to get Venice, and then I was still supporting him into Trieste. This is a bit annoying to me. This came fairly late in the turn order, but this means Turkey goes up to 8 while I'm at only 6. I don't like. I don't. I felt Turkey kind of. Well, even more than kind of. I think Turkey. I think Turkey was clearly kind of abusing my good nature here. I made it clear to him after that, like I wasn't particularly happy about that, and I wanted to find a way to pick up a center, make this equitable again. But um, we don't. the frickin' French units that are staying here continue to force me to do a lot of defense rather than like offense. Also, the French units in Italy mean that Turkey is not fully in position to break through here yet, and Italy is still offering defense. France has completely abandoned their backside in order to slow down us. Um, France claims that this is because they just wanted the game to end. They didn't realize the game was going to take 6+ hours, and admittedly, draw votes just failed. With that said, one of the draw vote fails, spoiler alert, was me, because I don't really care for my current position. I was hoping something would happen. But also, like, this is just not a position I draw in. Like, England has so much growth right now. Like, Turkey potentially has growth. Like, nobody should be drawing here. Like, I felt bad for the France player that they wound up in a game that was much longer than they thought. But also, like, I don't know. Read the rules of the game you're signing up for. But ultimately, yeah, they wanted the game to end, and apparently they were most annoyed at me and Turkey, which is a fair enough thing to be. Like, that's how the game goes. But kind of a frustrating game to just watch France. France is getting stabbed by England and Germany, and yet deciding, yeah, England and Germany, you can have all my dots. Just, I'm just gonna hold back any potential from Russia and Turkey and slow them down. And I think we play another year here before agreeing to the draw. England gets a lot of centers. It winds up being a three-way tie at 8. Yeah, things are struggling to update here, but here we are. We wind up at 8 for Turkey, 8 for Germany, 8 for England. Germany and England right at the end there made a quick switcheroo of a center in order to assure they would both be at 8. And then I'm stuck on 6. I have very little growth opportunity unless Turkey agrees to give it to me. Honestly, Turkey could probably try to stab me, although I think that would just hand more to England and Germany. But I agree here, so have a worse nature problem solved. So anyhow, it turns out in this scoring system, though, again, like huge shared tops are not like sharing the top is not that good, and I wind up with not that many fewer points than everybody else. So we all wound up with an okay result here. I think I wind up with like 50 some points, while they wind up with 60 some points. Heck, we can actually figure out what the scoring was. Unfortunately, the scoring for this league is not updated at the moment. Austria's dead. England's at 8. France has survived on like 3. Yeah. Italy also survived on 1. Nobody could kill Italy. Just freaking crazy. I'm up with 6 and Turkey has 8. So yeah, scoring wise, they all got 60 points. I got 50. France gets 38, 30. I mean, it's just like such a mess. Nobody really gets a good score here. Everybody gets okay scores. I don't know. Not very satisfying. 38 feels generous. I don't really like their scoring system. I'm with you. Um, I'm with you that there's way too much weight given for survival versus eliminations. For the record, this leads to gameplay that I don't like a ton either. No one really won, but France absolutely lost. Yeah, Italy also absolutely lost. I'm with you. Like, I'm with you. The scoring system leads players to care a decent amount about not being eliminated, and so they will often agree to, like, if they're on 1 or 2 centers, to just like team up with somebody and do the things other people ask them to do, which fair enough, but it leads to, I don't know. To me, I really like this group really likes their scoring system, and they seem to really like this whole, like, they call it janissarying, where like countries on 1 or 2 units like team up and like start fighting for somebody else. I find it really artificial and gross. Like, players on 1 or 2 centers are basically eliminated from the game. Maybe they can fight their way back in, and they definitely should try to keep fighting their way back in, but their incentive should not be to merely survive and do other players' bidding. It should be to actually fight their way back into like a good score. So yeah, I admit I don't particularly like their scoring system, but alas. You think the base? I'm look to be clear. I'm with you. There are other scoring systems for diplomacy that I find align with my intuitions a lot better. I'll probably still play with this group. I'll probably still play some of their games. But yeah, I do think their scoring system leads to some of the results and some of the things I see that I don't really agree with. But oh well, it's not. It's quibbling about things that don't matter a ton, right? Like diplomacy games are still diplomacy games, but it does. I don't know. Some of the micro decisions that happen still, yeah, are a little bit there. But you do like incentivize continue to play when your position is hopeless, but you think the rewards for playing well should be better. It's always been diplomacy's biggest drawback is people basically giving up. Yeah, I will grant that's the upside of their scoring system, right? I mean, like I can see why people want there to be incentive for the players that are basically eliminated to keep playing and staying engaged and like rewarding players who are able to survive. But I don't know. Um, well, it's more than I don't know. It's we just went through it, right? But like I I think it feels too artificial too often of like just keeping this one person alive for the benefit of like it actually matters in their scores and their stats of how often they're eliminated. But I think that makes people care too much about getting eliminated, which is I don't know. Like, again, I guess it loops back to I don't care. I personally put very low value if I end the game on one center or three centers or zero centers. All of them are bad games. None of them did I like play well enough to win. The goal is to win. Like, the goal is to do well, be in competition for the win. I want to reward players who were potentially winning the game. Like, people who are close to the win, people who have a bunch of centers, people who are tied for the win. Those are the players that like I want to see particularly rewarded. I don't want to put that much value on surviving or being on zero. But that's me personally, and other people can obviously play differently. Um, but so anyhow, yeah, that was a decent result for me. But yeah, just been tough games. Tough games. I think there is some level of getting used to this group and some of their meta. Some of it is there's a lot of very good players, and some of it like games just aren't quite breaking my way. I'm just not quite finding the people next to me that want to do the things that I want to do with me, and I'm not convincing them to join me. And there's some level of I can do better, and there's some level of like that's just the way the game breaks. Like the first game, I just wound up with an England France that just did not want to attack each other. And what are you gonna do as Germany? You're eventually gonna die, and I died. This game, I tried to do kind of a Northern Russia thing, and it looked like it was okay until suddenly the Western Triple kind of coalesced. And if a Western Triple coalesces, I mean, Russia's not going to have a very good game, certainly not in the North. So I then need to pick up growth off of Austria and Turkey, who were supposedly supposed to be my allies. Maybe it does turn out a game I was supposed to ally with Italy and figure out how that was going to work. Because if I ally with Italy, I have more potential to survive off of just like Austria and Turkey centers, while Italy can get kind of big and maybe get some French centers. But I mean, yeah, you don't know how the game's going to break. So you wonder if diplomacy is the least streamable board game there is. Um, I think you basically can't really stream live diplomacy. Yeah, I don't think live diplomacy is a thing, and so yeah, streaming it is a little weird. I think you can really only do post game analysis. Um, you can do some really cool post game analysis. There are one or two diplomacy videos where they like record players' conversations and then they like splice it all together and try to do some post game interviews. Like it can be pretty thrilling if you get enough production. But yeah, I admit it's a pretty tough game to it's a pretty tough game in any capacity to like give it up. But even if you could, it would be a 5 to 6 hour stream, and you'd have to be muted the whole time and block your screen during orders. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like streaming yourself playing diplomacy is like really quite hard, and yeah, you have to be super worried about stream snipers, and yeah, there's just a lot of issues. So it's fine. Anyhow, thanks Gonzo for hanging out a bit. Hope some people find this fun. I'm gonna get this one uploaded to YouTube too. Again, I'm partly doing these for my own sake. I think chatting through the games and like reviewing them myself helps give me slight insights into like who's winning and why and what they're doing, and uh, how to put myself in positions to succeed in the future and where my failings were. This game, I'm relatively happy with my play here. I think I've took the opportunities that was presented reasonably well. I think I somewhat bungled my relations with Germany here. There was maybe potential for something better there, and I didn't make it. But otherwise, I think I kind of maximized the opportunities that I realistically had here. Um, but again, when you have an early, when you kind of get this early-ish triple that goes north, I just don't get growth in the north. And then when I have this mid to late game wall of French units just blocking me while their homeland is being destroyed, I mean, what are you supposed to do? With a different French player, like a different French player winds up defending their home centers a hell of a lot more against England Germany, slowing England Germany down a lot. And I, along with Turkey, managed to pick up a bunch of Italian centers. Now, ultimately, I suspect Turkey still wins that game, to be fair. Like, Turkey's going to pick up more of these centers while I have to keep making deals for which ones I'm getting. But I suspect that at least looks like maybe Turkey ends the game at like maybe the game ends more with like Turkey on 10, Russia on 8, and Germany, England on 6. So like if we play that where like Turkey is the sole topper, but I do better and Turkey does better. Okay, admittedly, again, my intuition of the scoring system's all whack. I'm like, oh, that seems better. Like, I have a sole second place with more centers. I get 6 more points in this fictional alternative. Topping the board obviously does Turkey way better. This system very much rewards sole topping, which is fair enough. I don't necessarily mind that or blame that, but gosh, yeah, it is a bit it's a bit punishing. I'm used to slightly more rank based systems because that aligns with my intuitions better. I also would argue it aligns with player intuitions a bit better, but again, I'm not in charge of the scoring system, so I have to get used to it. Anyhow, I've blabbed a bunch. Hopefully, people have mildly enjoyed it. Otherwise, hopefully, it's useful to me. I'm going to end this stream, but I think I'm going to stream an Agricola game right after. So, Gonzo, I will see you in probably just a few minutes, and hopefully, we'll have a fun Agricola game. I'm going to take just a couple minutes break to get some water, but yeah, we'll be right back with some actual gaming then. So, see everybody in just a little bit.